This is Susan Wheelbanks with BlendedInsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic. Hello, bright soul. Thank you for joining me on another podcast, and happy new moon for those of you who follow astrology. New moons are a great time to set intentions to bring in new beginnings, new things that you want. So I do have a new moon Reiki healing on my YouTube channel. I'll post it in the show notes in case you're interested. And I'm just going to go in today's podcast topic. It's more of an encouragement and something I've really been reminding myself, and that is to keep showing up. I know that this year has been exhausting for a lot of people. It's been very trying for a lot of people, and consistency is the key here. So when we continue to show up, when we continue to do our work, the universe meets us. And this has been in my own life. I've been very tired, very fatigued, overworked. And, I shared before that I had gotten off of Facebook on my personal page, and it has been so helpful. Unfortunately, I do have a few people that will message me on my business page to share their political opinions, which I'm not interested in. And so that's been another thing that's been exhausting here in the United States, is all of the political agendas and opinions that really don't influence my personal view one way or the other. I don't concern myself with what other people think, feel, or believe. I have learned to go within and do my own fact-finding and trust my own intuition and my own heart. And so other people's opinions is no concern of mine. Also, what other people think of me is none of my business. That's another thing that I've really been reminding myself. If someone doesn't like the way that I do things, the way that I share things on the internet, the way that I do healing work, the way that I display my gifts, that's perfectly fine. What other people think and feel about me is none of my business. And it isn't going to change my path one way or the other. And so I'm sharing that with you because perhaps that's something you need to remind yourself of, especially in this time of great divide. There's a lot of division in the world right now, and I'm not going to participate in it. What I've really been doing is focusing on the commonalities. We all want to be healthy. We all want to be loved. We all want to be happy. We all want our families to be protected and taken care of. And so even when people are behaving in not so pleasant ways, it's usually from a fear or a reaction of a threat to one of the things that I previously mentioned. And so I can't control that. And so what I have to do is focus on what I can personally do and influence. And the same is true for you. And I know that when you feel like you're working really hard and getting nowhere, like a hamster in hamster wheel, it can be very discouraging. And so that's the other reason why these words just keep coming to me all week. Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Even when we do breath work, group breath work, the facilitator will often say, if you just show up and lay on the mat and you don't do the breathing exercises, you still showed up. And there's something to that. Just showing up and being consistent shows the universe that you're here. You're meeting the universe halfway. You are taking action. Even if you're not giving your all because it's not in you to give your all in that very moment, you're still showing up. You're doing something. Action cures despair. And I'm really proud of myself and of you for the way that you've continued to stay in the light. Even when you fall out, you get right back up and get back in it. And that you've continued to connect with positive material and like-minded souls. And, if you still are working, you're going to work and you are doing your personal work. For me, I'm proud of myself for continuing to exercise when I'm used to going out of the house twice a week. Well, now I can't do that anymore. I could, but I'd have to wear a mask, and that's just against my personal views, and so I'm not going to do that. So I don't, and I've been exercising at home, which I used to do, but I got used to breaking up my routine, and so I'm still doing it. The other thing is through the transitioning, it's been tough with having a child here going to school online when she's not an online learner. And I was already working from home. So now I'm trying to work and I've got teenagers in the house and they're loud and talking and laughing, or they're trying to do their own thing. And for whatever reason, the children in my daughter's age group where I am, they don't talk on the phone anymore. They FaceTime constantly. And they even FaceTime when they're not even saying anything to each other. So that there's that racket, that constant racket, that noise. And so that's very frustrating for me. And that's just the way that they are. They're just being who they are. And I really can't control it other than when I'm working and I can hear her entire conversation because she's on FaceTime and it's up all the way, and that's what they do. And I'm sure anybody with teenagers or middle schoolers that have electronic devices know exactly what I'm talking about. It's something new. It's this generation. I'm not used to it, and it's very frustrating. And also, it's just the time we're in right now. It's an unprecedented time where people are having to adjust suddenly to situations and circumstances that we don't have a pattern for, a blueprint for. We don't really know. We're figuring out as we go, on top of all of the energetic climate changes that are really exhausting. But we're showing up. And so we deserve credit for showing up and doing the very best we can and trying to be resilient in this crazy time. You know, the staff members at universities and even work-wise at corporations who have been closed down, we're all just doing the very best we can. And we just have to keep doing that. We will get through it. You know, all things change. Nothing is permanent. I remember once on my YouTube channel, someone asked me to do some healing to make something permanent. And I just chuckled to myself. I thought, nothing is permanent. Everything is changing in the universe. Our skin cells, we get new skin cells every single day. Our hair is growing every single day. There isn't anything permanent other than your soul will go on. But the whole purpose of this life and journey is to experience change. And so it's our jobs to build a level of resilience. And it can be really tough. And that's why we have to sometimes lean on each other and reach out to other people or find sources to support us and get us through the tough times. And so I just wanted to encourage you. I know the holidays are a tough time for a lot of people, especially this year when perhaps you're not getting together like you normally would. And for me, the energy just feels flat. It feels very flat. And I think a lot of people at this time are like, I just want to get through to the other side. And I get it because I feel the same way. And the reality is we can't control that either. And I just had this conversation with a colleague of mine. I've been working late. I've been working a lot of hours, going to work early. I mean, I'm really, really tired. I'm overworked. Not because of just the physical job, but because my daughter transitioned to full online school this week. Her school, because of the increased testing with, the COVID, there's obviously going to be more positive test results when you're pushing the testing and there's more people testing. So that's neither here nor there. So the school is just constantly blowing up our email with, oh, there was another student tested, and honestly, I don't want to know and I don't really care. There hasn't been any deaths, no hospitalizations, like they're fine, but they got tested and they had it, whether they had symptoms or not. And so because of that, the school, they have to follow the guidance and they have to cater to the fears of the parents and the community because that's what you have to do. And I totally get that. And it's a tough situation to be in. But they closed the school all the way down until further notice. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be probably for the rest of the school year. That's just a feeling of mine. It'll at least be through the next year. And so now, instead of going in person twice a week, all the children have to go online 100%. And not only did they change that, they changed the format of it. So now they want them to be on the computer all day long, which is another waste of time for people like my daughter who they're not online learners. And so it's been a nightmare. It's been exhausting. And so she can't figure out her own schedule. So she's constantly asking me, and then I have to dig through the emails and you know how all that goes. And I know everyone's dealing with that to some extent right now. And I'm in there with you. But even in that, we are still showing up. I've just had to get very creative. I had to hire a tutor that is helping my daughter 3 times a week to try to get her through the school year. And I've just had to make adjustments, exercising at home. I have to adjust my work schedule. Normally, I would go to red light outside of the home a few times a week to break up the energy because when you do work from home, which I've been doing for a long time, you do need to get outside and break it up or you become very isolated. And I wasn't having that issue before COVID. It was just fine. But now so many things are closed down and shut down. And I have a teenager here with me. So, as much as I love her and I'm so grateful for her, anybody with teenagers who have had teenagers knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's just because their brain's not fully developed and the stage they're in that it can get challenging. And I've had to really learn how to deal with this and look at my own patterns of behavior and where I'm full, when I get full and spill over, and adjust that so that I can continue to cope. And I've shared that in previous podcasts, taking care of myself, allowing myself to get a break, getting out of the house, when I can, giving myself days off, and even in those times where I feel like I'm going to boil over, because I'm very human. There have been times really over the last couple of weeks when they decided to transition to online school and I got so busy with work. It just seems there are times when everything just floods in at once. And I know you know what I'm talking about. So there were a couple of days last week where I was trying to get a deadline done and trying to collaborate with colleagues and also trying to help my daughter navigate her school, where I just couldn't keep up with everything. And I felt like I was going to explode. And even that, I still show up. And so do you. So I don't care if you've exploded or had a meltdown or several meltdowns or you're feeling down in the dumps. You're here and you're showing up, and that's something to commend. Just keep doing it. A lot of people don't have these tools. I mean, that's the other thing. What would you do if you had no tools? Like, I'm so grateful for my tools that I have: energy healing, breath work, and I can get readings. I can tap into the guidance for myself. I've learned so much and I can use those things. And I'm grateful. Not everyone has it. And so that's really all I wanted to share, and we can just go into a general healing. And you can just uncross your arms and legs and begin going into your body and just relaxing. Okay, and I'm running shields and then closing up the healing. Okay, and so it is. All right, so thank you for showing up, and despite what's going on, hey, we're still here. We're still waking up, getting dressed, tuning in, doing what we have to do. We're making it through. We are making it through, and that is important to remind yourself. You'll get through it. We're all getting through it. We're still here. And so I want to wish you a beautiful week. Just try to commend yourself. Keep going. If you keep showing up, eventually there'll be a new insight, new opportunity. That's just the way that it works. We just have to keep participating fully in our own life, in our own journey, and in our full experience. Thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.